Looking back, I should have noticed the way everyone at the diplomatic gala kept their distance from her, how the ambassadors from a dozen worlds seemed to unconsciously step back when she passed. But all I saw was the most captivating woman I'd ever laid eyes on, standing alone by the observation window, watching the stars like they held secrets she'd forgotten. My name is Marcus Chen, Junior Cultural Liaison for the Terran Embassy on Station Kepler for 2, and I was about to make either the best or worst decision of my life. She stood there in fitted tactical pants and a sleek silver top that seemed to shimmer with its own light, her platinum hair cascading down her back like liquid moonlight, and those pointed ears the only obvious sign she wasn't human, barely visible through the silken strands. I grabbed 2 glasses of Centauri wine from a passing server, took a breath that did nothing to calm my racing heart, and walked over. "You look like you'd rather be anywhere but here," I said, offering her a glass. She turned, and I nearly forgot how to breathe. Her eyes were violet, deep and ancient, and sad in a way that made my chest ache, set in a face so delicate and beautiful it seemed impossible. "Is it that obvious?" she asked, her voice carrying an accent I couldn't place, musical and slightly melancholic. "I'm Marcus," I said. And yes, I recognize that look because I'm wearing it too, for the first time. Her lips curved into a small smile. "Lyralei." And here I thought I was maintaining proper diplomatic composure. We talked, and God help me, it was effortless. She was brilliant, discussing stellar cartography and ancient earth poetry in the same breath, asking questions about human culture with genuine curiosity rather than the clinical detachment most aliens showed. 20 minutes passed like 20 seconds. I noticed she never touched her wine, just held the glass like a prop. I noticed how her skin seemed to have a faint luminescence, like starlight trapped beneath porcelain. I noticed how she never quite made full eye contact, always looking just slightly away, as if afraid of what I might see. The orchestra began playing a human waltz, ironically, and couples drifted toward the dance floor. "Would you like to dance?" I asked, surprising myself. The words were out before I could second guess them. Something shifted in her expression. Fear? Longing? "You don't want to dance with me," she said softly. "Actually, I really do," I replied. "Unless you don't want to, which is completely fine. I'm probably a terrible dancer anyway." "I just thought, Marcus," she said my name like it meant something. "Do you know who I am?" I shook my head. Should I? Her smile was sad again, devastating. "Perhaps that's why this feels nice." She set down her untouched glass. "One dance, but stay close to me. Don't let go of my hand." It was an odd request, but I agreed. Her hand was cool when I took it, leading her to the dance floor. I placed my other hand on her waist, felt her barely rest her palm on my shoulder, and we began to move. She was graceful beyond measure, making my fumbling steps look almost coordinated. The music swelled, and for a moment, the universe narrowed to just us, spinning slowly beneath the simulated chandeliers. Then I felt it, a strange pulling sensation, like something was drawing energy from my chest. Not painful, almost pleasant, like the feeling of falling asleep. "I'm sorry," Lyralei whispered, and I realized her violet eyes were glowing now faintly, and she was looking directly at me for the first time. I tried to resist, but it's been so long since anyone freely touched me, and the hunger, "What's happening?" I asked, not afraid somehow, just curious. Around us, I noticed the other dancers had moved away, creating a circle of empty space. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Her hand tightened on mine. "Don't let go," she pleaded. "If you let go now, they'll see it as rejection, as an insult. Please." "I'm not letting go," I said firmly, though I still didn't understand. "Tell me what's happening to me." "I'm feeding," she said, shame coloring her words. "Not on your blood, never that it's barbaric and ancient. On your life energy, your essence. My people evolved to sustain ourselves on the bioelectric energy of living beings. It's why I shouldn't have agreed to dance with you, why I've spent 3 hours alone, avoiding any physical contact. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." The pulling sensation continued, but it wasn't unbearable. Uncomfortable, yes, like giving blood, but not agonizing. "How long has it been?" I asked. "Since you fed?" She was glowing brighter now, her skin luminescent, hair moving as if in an ethereal wind. 16 days. We can go longer, but it weakens us, makes us vulnerable. I came to this gala specifically hoping to negotiate a willing donor contract with someone, anyone, But no one will even speak to me long enough to discuss terms. Why not? We were still dancing, and I realized she was leading now, her strength returning with every second of contact. Because I am Lyralei Shadowvine, queen of the Noctari Empire, and my people are feared throughout the galaxy, my step faltered. Queen, you're royalty? I'm a vampire, she said bluntly. Or what your Earth legends would call a vampire. We're one of the oldest spacefaring races, powerful, nearly immortal, and sustained by consuming the essence of other beings. For millennia, we were conquerors, slavers, feeding on entire populations. We were monsters. The music played on. I processed this information while spinning across the dance floor with an alien vampire queen. Somehow, the absurdity of it steadied me. You said were, I noted. Past tense. Her expression shifted surprise, then something that might have been hope. Yes, 2 centuries ago, after the Federation formed, after the Great Wars ended, our young queen, my grandmother, chose a different path. She established the consent laws. We feed only from willing participants, with contracts and compensation. We opened our borders, sought peace, but fear doesn't die easily. Other species remember what we were. They'll accept our trade goods, our technology, but they won't touch us, won't let us touch them. The pulling sensation was fading. She was releasing me, I realized, trying to minimize what she was taking, even as her hunger gnawed at her. Don't stop, I said. She looked at me with such raw emotion it stole my breath. You would let me continue? You're not hurting me, I replied. You're just hungry. And I asked you to dance, remember? Marcus Chen, she said slowly, wonderingly. What kind of human are you? I grinned. The stubborn kind. Also, the kind who's been practicing this waltz for 3 months specifically for this gala and refuses to waste it. She laughed. Actually laughed. The sound was like crystal bells, beautiful and startling. Around us, I heard gasps. She's feeding. Someone hissed. From a human. Someone should intervene, they're just dancing. A gruff voice cut in. I glanced over and saw Ambassador Krovik, a reptilian Drexian who'd always been decent to me. He stood at the edge of the circle, arms crossed. The human isn't in distress. Mind your own concerns. The music ended, and reluctantly, we stepped apart. Lyralei was transformed. Her skin glowed softly, her eyes bright with renewed vitality, her whole bearing radiating strength and presence. She was magnificent, and she was looking at me like I'd given her the stars. I've taken too much, she said, grasping my arm to steady me. Had I swayed? Worth it, I said, meaning it. You should sit, drink water. Your kind isn't adapted to energy loss like this. She guided me to a bench, and I realized I was dizzy, the room tilting pleasantly. She brought me water, fruit, stayed by my side while I recovered. Other delegates watched us with undisguised fascination. This is unprecedented, Lyralei murmured. A human freely feeding a Noctari queen. Do you understand what you've done? Made a new friend? I offered. Maybe started an intergalactic incident? You've given me hope, she said quietly. For 200 years, I've ruled my people through this transformation, trying to prove we could be better than our past. But it's lonely, Marcus. So desperately lonely. We can't touch without feeding. We can't form casual bonds. Every interaction is transactional, fearful. I'd forgotten what it felt like to simply connect with someone. Her vulnerability struck me harder than any feeding could. This wasn't just an alien queen. This was someone trapped by her own nature, by history, by fear, both others and her own. Tell me about your world, I said. So she did. We sat there while the gala continued around us, and Lyralei told me about Noctara Prime, a world of eternal twilight where cities glowed with bioluminescent architecture. She spoke of her people's guilt over their past, their struggle for redemption, their incredible artistic culture born from centuries of darkness. She told me about the loneliness of rulership, making decisions that affected billions while unable to share a simple touch with anyone without the hunger rising. We feel too much, she explained. Physical contact triggers an overwhelming need to feed. It's instinctive, uncontrollable with anyone. We're not bonded to. And bonding requires sustained contact, trust, time, things no one will give us. What if they did? I asked. What if someone was willing? She studied me with those ancient violet eyes. Are you offering Marcus Chen? Was I? I'd known this woman for barely 2 hours, but I'd also just experienced the essence of who she was literally. The feeding had gone both ways somehow. I'd felt her loneliness, her determination, her desperate hope for a better future. I'm scheduled on Kepler for 2 for another 6 months, I said. And I'm pretty sure I've just become famous as that human who danced with the vampire queen, so my social calendar is probably clear. If you need a donor, or a friend, or just someone who isn't afraid to touch you. I held out my hand. She stared at it for a long moment. You don't know what you're offering. A bonded donor, the connection goes both ways. You would feel what I feel. Share in my essence as I share in yours. It's intimate beyond anything your species typically experiences. Sounds terrifying, I admitted, but also kind of amazing. And honestly, I've been alone in my quarters every night for 8 months, eating replicated noodles and watching old Earth movies. This is the most alive I've felt since arriving at this station. Her laugh came again, warmer this time. She took my hand, and the pulling sensation returned, gentler, now controlled. You are either the bravest human I've ever met, or the most foolish. Can't I be both? The night continued. We talked for hours, her hand in mine, energy flowing between us in a way that began to feel natural, even pleasant. I learned about Noctari politics, their complex relationship with the Federation, her dreams of true integration. She learned about Earth, about my childhood in New Beijing, about why I'd joined the diplomatic corps. As dawn's cycle approached on the station, she walked me to my quarters. At my door, she turned to me, radiant and beautiful, and no longer sad. Thank you, Marcus, for seeing me. Not the queen, not the vampire, not the monster from legends, just me. Same time next week? I asked. There's another gala. I'll need a dancing partner. Her smile could have lit entire solar systems. I would be honored. She left, and I collapsed on my bed, exhausted and exhilarated. My unit chimed immediately. Messages from colleagues, from my supervisor, from news feeds. Human establishes unprecedented contact with Noctari royalty. Diplomatic breakthrough at Kepler for gala. Is a human Noctari alliance finally possible? I ignored them all and thought about violet eyes and the loneliness of queens, and how sometimes the most important diplomatic achievements happen when you simply ask someone to dance. 3 months later, I stood in the throne room of Noctara Prime, not as a junior liaison anymore, but as official Earth ambassador to the Noctari Empire and bonded companion to Queen Lyralei. The bond had formed gradually, beautifully, through weeks of shared conversations and energy exchanges, until I could feel her presence like starlight in my mind. Around us, the first delegation of human volunteers arrived, people willing to serve as donors, to help bridge the gap between species. It was a beginning, fragile and uncertain, but looking at Lyralei, at her expression of wonder and gratitude, I knew it was real. You changed everything, she whispered to me during the ceremony, her hand warm in mine now, the feeding so natural I barely noticed it. One dance, I replied. That's all it took. One dance and the courage to hold on. She kissed my cheek, a gesture she'd learned from human customs, and her smile held no sadness anymore. Around us, humans and Noctari mingled cautiously, taking first steps toward understanding. It would take time, generations perhaps, but fear was finally beginning to fade. Sometimes the greatest adventures begin not with grand gestures or heroic battles, but with a simple question asked across a crowded room. Would you like to dance? And sometimes the answer changes the galaxy.